Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have something really cool today. This is the all-new T-Motor 1103. It's called F1103, and yes, finally T-Motor released an 1103 motor, something that was really lacking in their lineup of motors so far. I mean, they had the T-Motor F10, which is an 1104. This one here, also a pretty nice motor, but it's been around for a while. And 1104 isn't a very good size for a toothpick with 65mm props, while it actually worked quite well on my 2S 3-inch build here. It's really cool that they've completed their motor lineup with this F1103 here. So let's take a closer look. And also, I mean, to make things more interesting, I have some competition for the T-Motor here. This is the Brother Hobby 1103. So we will kind of do a little shootout between these two on the bench today and compare the construction and look at all the details. But I mean, first, these are pretty small motors, so probably you will have a hard time seeing anything here, especially if you're on your phone. So let's zoom in and let's take a closer look at this new T-Motor F1103. So this is the T1103 up close, and as you can see, this is stunning machining quality. I mean, just look at these chamfered edges here and this fine machine. I mean, this is a really small scale we're talking about here, so overall build quality is absolutely stunning. Just look how nicely anodized this is. I really like this gray. I mean, pretty much everything about this motor is perfect in terms of build quality and overall machining quality. Now let's quickly walk through the specifications of this motor. Most of it is pretty standard. So we have a 1.5mm prop shaft, T-mount with M2 mounting holes. This is standard. It's got the standard M2 4-hole 9mm diameter motor mounts, all pretty standard. And it's got a 5mm bearing. So this is rather on the large side. If I compare this to the Brother Hobby, you can see it's got a 4mm bearing. Both have C-clips, but the one is 5mm, this one is 4mm, so larger bearings, which will be good for durability. And I think the magnets on the T-Motor are slightly larger than the ones on the Brother Hobby. And I can already say, I'll put this on a scale in a second, but I can already say that the T-Motor is a bit heavier than the Brother Hobby. And this is also due to another interesting thing about this construction. So it's got 24 gauge wires. These are pretty thick for an 1103 motor and bigger than pretty much all 1103s that I know of. So rather thick motor wires, and very interesting too, a little detail. They added some glue or resin here where the wires meet the motor, which is pretty cool. This should give some extra protection against ripping out the motor wires in crashes when your arms break. Now the windings look pretty good. Not bad at all. I think maybe on the AMAX they seem to be a little bit cleaner. The air gap between the stator and the motors, I hope I can get it on video, is pretty tight. Really good. And these are also curved magnets. You can see they aren't straight, they are slightly curved. So these are all characteristics of a rather expensive high quality motor. I have to say, I don't really know what this motor actually costs because it's not in stores yet, but I think it's gonna have probably a slight premium price tag. But let's be honest, on these 1103 motors that doesn't make much of a difference. There isn't such a huge price difference between a premium motor and a lower range motor. It's just a couple of dollars, which in my opinion doesn't matter too much in this hobby if you spend $10 or $15 more on your build. So overall, very, very nice construction in my opinion. So let's zoom out again and get this thing on a scale, which will be pretty interesting, especially in comparison to the Brother Hobby motor. Alright guys, things are about to get highly scientific again. Here's my precision scale. And now the moment of truth for the T-Motor. Exactly 5 grams, and let's get its competitor out, the Brother Hobby. And as you can see, 3.7 roughly, so there's a difference of 26%. between these two motors, which is really interesting. I mean, where's this weight difference coming from? Part of it is the wires. They are the same length. I cut them to the same length so we can kind of compare this. I mean, one is 26, 28, the other one is 24 gauge. So the wires in the T-motor are slightly thicker, which will account for some of the weight. But I think the bulk of this weight difference will actually come from the bearings, which is 4 versus 5 millimeters. And the interesting question will be, of course, does this give us any performance advantage to have a slightly lower electrical resistance here in the wires and to have a bearing that will run smoother? Now, in terms of durability, I think in any case the T-motor will be better because of the bigger bearing. This will clearly take crashes easier, and I mean, personally, I would prefer to have a Grandpa motor more and just have a more reliable motor that doesn't break, because, I mean, motors with broken bearings or damaged bearings just fly horribly. So I would rather recommend going for this. But I mean, I will do some flight testing soon. The only issue is, I mean, I have a full-time job and it gets dark kind of early outside, so might take a few days until I get around really flying this. But let's see if it has a performance advantage. Now let's also quickly talk about kV. So this comes in two versions, 8000 and 11,000 kV, and I think if you are going for a 65 millimeter toothpick build, you should really go for 8000 kV. I mean, yes, you can run 11,000 kV, but I didn't notice any real valuable performance increase, while I just lost really a lot of efficiency. So the 11,000 kV were just draining the batteries like crazy. And I think these smaller 450 milliamp hour 2S batteries just can't really sustain an 11,000 kV motor. I got low battery warnings after like a minute, which is super kind of frustrating, and the voltage is sagging like crazy. And I'm using the batteries. I'm using GNB 450, so which are pretty much the best out there. So really, my recommendation, go for 8000 kV. Alright, guys, that's it so far. Really looking forward to get this motor in the air and see how it performs. So for now, I hope you found this interesting and useful, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, guys.